Welcome back to Special Educators Resource Room podcast. This is Jennifer from Positively Learning. I don't know if you're listening to this and you are on summer break, or maybe you still have a few days or weeks to go. My summer schedule doesn't really change, but my mind does. And I have made the flip, the switch to summer mode, which means I just want things to be relaxing and easy. Maybe we should just keep that all year long. Today's episode is a special one though, because I want to kick off a summer series. I'm calling it, well, I'm not exactly sure what to call it. I was calling it Build Your Independent Work System Before Back to School, but I don't want to think about back to school yet. So then I was calling it the Special Educators Summer Series. I just don't know. You're going to have to let me know which title works best for you. Doesn't matter what we call it though. What I am going to be doing is showing up every week on this podcast like I do. And I'm also going to be showing up live on YouTube. So I'm going to do a YouTube live every Wednesday. Now it's at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which I understand is not going to work the best, but that was the majority when I asked on Instagram. And I'm going to be doing that every Wednesday, every single week of the summer. The purpose of showing up on YouTube is it's super easy and relaxed. There's that theme again. But I'm also going to be breaking down piece by piece different steps for setting up your independent work system. Every week is just going to be one more piece of the puzzle. They are going to be standalone videos, which means you don't have to wait the entire summer to get the whole outline, but it will be sequential. So if you just want like a little bite size, 10 minutes once a week, and then it builds into what you need, this is for you. If you want to binge watch the replays all at once, this is also for you. You're going to have to let me know what works best. The first episode is already live at Positively Learning on YouTube. You definitely want to hit subscribe so that you don't miss the notifications the next time I go live or if there's a replay. Whew, you are caught up. Let's get started with this episode. I want to start at the very beginning. Let's start with the why. Why does independent work keep falling apart? Why do I want to talk about it all summer long? Let's start at the very beginning with a question. How many times have you found something that seemed like it was going to work really well? Maybe it was a task box or a center, file folder activity, whatever it was. And maybe it did work for 2-3 days, and then it just fell apart. Or maybe it didn't even take off in the first place. When this happens, I think that many teachers might think it was the wrong activity. And maybe it was. It was the wrong activity, wrong materials, wrong resource. But I do want to introduce a different explanation. Maybe it wasn't the materials. Maybe it was the system. And when I say system, I'm referring to a routine. Or more accurately, in this case, a lack of a routine. Because independent work doesn't run on the materials. It seems like it does. I talk about task boxes and I'm often answering questions like, what grade level? Do you have life skills? And all of the things about the materials. And that's what we visually see right in front of us. But independent work doesn't run on materials. It runs on the independent work system or the routine. So if you have put in the time to set up resources, you printed and prepped and set it out, and it didn't go well, the good news is it probably wasn't the work you did. You didn't choose the wrong materials. We just need to add the system, a system that's going to support students working independently. So in a strange way, this is actually good news. It's also good news because we're talking about it in June. We're not talking about it in the middle of the school year when you have 17 other things to do. We're talking about it right now. Hopefully you're sitting by the pool and I'm just piping in your ear pods. Now let's get specific because I think when you hear this, it's going to make you feel a little bit better. When independent work does break down, and I mean really breaks down, not just a bad day, but consistently falls apart. It almost always breaks in one of these 3 places. The first breakdown point is the very start. Student sits down, they look at the task, and then they don't do anything, or they're waiting. They don't know how to begin without you telling them to begin. So if you are not right there, standing next to them, you've turned to help another student, or maybe you're teaching a small group, they're just going to sit there and they don't get started. They might look around. They might wait for you to come back. They might not engage in really productive behavior. And by the time you do go back to redirect them, that window is gone. That's the first breakdown point. The second breakdown point is in the middle. Maybe the student does get started, which is so great. But then somewhere in that task, that something happens. There's a step that's either unclear, a question they don't know. They're not willing to take the risk to figure it out on their own. So instead of working through it, students just stop. Maybe they raise their hand. Maybe they get up and come to find you. Or what's a little bit more common is they do the task wrong. They don't realize it, which means you're going to have to spend your time figuring that out and correcting it instead of teaching. The third breakdown point. This is the one that I know is happening, but I don't think we talk about it enough. We're really worried about just students getting started. But let's say a student did start the task. Amazing. And then they finish the task. You had chosen that magical amount of task cards or whatever they were doing where they could experience a quick win and finish the task. Incredible. But then what happens? The student finishes, they complete the task. What do they do? Where do they put it? What do they do next? Is there a next thing? Should they just sit? Should they come and find you? Most of the time, there's not a real clear answer to those questions. Or maybe there is a clear answer, but the student doesn't know about it. So students might fill in the gap in the only way that they know how. They get up, they get into something, they start talking, they wander, and the independent work time that you spent so long preparing falls apart in the last 2 minutes because there was no clear ending. So this is all actually good news. There's 3 breakdown points, and it's not necessarily a student problem. It feels like a student problem because they might have chosen to not react in a very productive way. But it's still good news because it's highly fixable. When a student doesn't start, it's not because they're being lazy or they're not capable. It's because the signal to start isn't clear enough without you standing there and telling them. When a student stops in the middle, it's not because they can't handle the work. It's because maybe that task was designed to need some support and not be completed independently. And when a student finishes and doesn't know what comes next, maybe it's not because they're looking for trouble. It's because they don't know what comes next. They're going to say, nobody told me, even if we did. These are system leaks or breaks in the routine. It's good news because it doesn't mean our students just cannot do it. It's just the system leaked, and that can be fixed. That's where the tasks framework comes in. Over these next few episodes and over on YouTube Live, I'm going to be walking through each piece of the tasks framework. I want to introduce the whole framework today just so you can see where it's going. I'm going to be talking it through, but it is a lot easier to see it on YouTube. TASKS is an acronym. Each letter is a step. T is for think it through. We start with the end in mind. Before we download a single thing or make any purchases, we're going to ask, what should students actually be doing during independent work? What skills are they going to work on? What goals are we focusing on? We build from the outcomes, not because it is just the cutest task. Of course, 2 things can be true at once. A in tasks is for access your materials. Before you go buy anything, we're just going to take inventory. Most classrooms already have a lot of resources. The gap isn't necessarily the materials, it's how they're going to be organized and matched to students. So that's what we talk about in step A. The next is S for set the stage. This is where we're going to be talking about the anatomy of a successful task. What makes something actually workable for a student so that they can complete it independently? Has a clear start, a clear work, clear finish. Every task needs all of those components. In the tasks acronym, K is for keep it organized and consistent. This is the system part around the materials, the visual schedules, the finished bins, the rotation, the storage, the tasks. They live inside this system. The system is what makes it work. And maybe you're already thinking, oh, maybe that's what went wrong. I think we think so much about the tasks and not the system the tasks live in. And then the second S at the end of the word tasks is for support and step back. This is where we talk about how to actually teach the system, the routine to students, how to model it, how to practice it, how to hand it over so that you can genuinely step back and let them work. It's 5 steps. It's one complete system. We're going to build it 1 week at a time. Before I let you go today, I do want to give you something actionable, not a download, not a checklist. This is just one observation to make. And if you are not in the classroom because you are enjoying the most wonderful summer break, it might just be a reflection. This week, or even today, if you have a chance, I want you to think about your students when they're working independently or during any unstructured time when they're supposed to be doing something without you. I want you to notice, where does it fall apart? Is it at the start? Is it in the middle? Is it at the end? We're not going to fix anything yet. We're just going to notice. That observation is going to anchor everything we talk about over the next few episodes. Next week, we are going to be going into the T in the tasks framework, which is think it through. And we're going to talk about how to start the whole planning process in a way that actually leads to student independence. Not just a list of activities, but a plan. If you want to go deeper right now, the Task Box Club and the Independent Work Club are both linked in the show notes. Inside the club, you've got access to all of this. Every task is designed around these exact principles. Clear start, clear work, clear finish. And there's a whole library to choose from. They're organized by skills, by grade range. I also have a full training with the tasks framework inside the club. Thank you so much for listening. I know you can tell I'm super excited. I've got this whole summer thing going on. Please hit subscribe so you don't miss any of these episodes. Also, subscribe at YouTube on Positively Learning's channel. You're going to get a notification whenever I go live. Wherever you are, you can just pop it up and listen and leave comments, ask questions. I can't wait to have a conversation. In previous years, I've always done a webinar, and I love doing webinars because I love to teach, obviously. But my favorite part was just answering the questions at the end because it was fun. I love talking, and it was just really neat to hear how other people do tasks. We just learn from each other. But I didn't want to do this big production. I don't want you to have to sign up and then wait, and then we have this big workshop, and you have to block out an hour of your time. I wanted it to feel easy and relaxed. And you can watch YouTube on your own time or show up when I'm live. I would love to talk with you. Thank you so much for listening. I'm so excited for this summer series. I will catch you next time in the Special Educators Resource Room. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'm dying to ask, what'd you think? Be sure to hit the follow or subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. You can find the show notes and links for everything mentioned in this episode at positivelylearningblog.com. See you next week for more special education solutions.